I'm doing an Interloper run, going with Astrid for my own sanity, Cold Fusion and Efficient Machine. Cougar, Scurvy, and Trader are on. The game sound is off for the first 9 days, but it will be back before you know it. My goal with this run is to get to 1000 days. With that out of the way, let's get going. We spawn at Ash Canyon. After finding out where I was, I go north to Angler's Den. There should be matches and some basic resources to get us started. I grab a cooking pot, cooking oil, dog food, some trusty matches, a lucky pry bar, quality tools, and the arrow tips. After boiling some water and grabbing a few torches, it's time to leave. There's somewhere I want to sleep in, the Homesteader's Respite. To get there, I walk down south and goat up using this cheesy shortcut. I nearly make it out without getting a sprain, but it's alright. We're going to be able to rest in the cabin before climbing up the rope. I find the wolf scarf and the combat pants. And a great upgrade this early in the game. After grabbing all the food in the cabin, I sleep for the night. In the morning, we find gloves, and that will take care of the frostbite risk for now, until we make better gloves later on. I wait out the blizzard that hit me in the morning, and make my way up, to pick up the technical backpack. The weather clears out, giving me a pretty view of the canyon. Just afternoon, I'm at Miner's Folly. Grab the woodworking tools, a bird for dinner, and recover our strength before moving on. The weather is not great, but the backpack is within my grasp, so I push onwards, finding myself in the mine soon after. I grab the backpack, cook the animals I grabbed along the way, and slept for the night. On day 4, the weather was cold and cloudy, but my plan was simple. Go down to avoid ropes and rest in Angler's Den, while I eat the fish I found in the cache, preparing myself for the journey to Timberwolf Mountain by the end of the day. I start day 5 by doing more teas and warming up the ones I had, to keep me warm as I go, rooting through the bark forest to grab more materials for tea. My torch keeps the wolves away, and I say goodbye to Ash Canyon for now. The wind is too strong for my torch, but all I have to do is to keep my distance from the bear nearby, and avoid the wolves near the lake. It can't hurt to grab dinner in the meantime. At the Mountaineer's Hut, I find myself a ski jacket, food, and an axe saw. Vital right now. Plus a magnifying lens, which will be saving me a lot of matches in the long run. I cook the rabbits and sleep for the night. The morning greets me with good weather, so I start making my way to Pleasant Valley, the wind turning on me as I leave. Just my luck. At least it's not a blizzard. I avoid the rope to the bunker and enter it to warm up. The weather is decent enough to keep going, picking up saplings to make arrows and the bow later. The sooner the better, so finding that axe saw before was great. I move towards a crashed airplane, looking for clothes. I do manage to find a second pair of leggings, but not much else. I use the cave nearby to warm up, leveling up my first ability in this run, Carcass Harvesting 2. Once again, I warm up my teas and walk through the night to get to the barn or farmhouse still today. But with the weather getting worse and afraid of another blizzard incoming, I lay low in a cabin nearby. On day 7, I started with hunting the small game around the cabin and hoping for better weather in the afternoon. Even though the weather wasn't great, it was warm enough to get to the farmhouse without getting cold. I loot what is useful to me and make my way to the barn. In there, I find the next vital tool, the hammer, which is going to allow me to craft a knife and a hatchet. The knife allowing me to craft the much needed bow and arrows. I celebrate surviving a week with pancakes for breakfast, and since I have all the tools I need, I start making my way to the nearest forge in Forlorn Muskeg. The day spent walking to Mystery Lake, fighting the cold and avoiding any predators that would cause a swift death. He's helping me along the way to stay warm. I managed to pick a few more saplings along the way, and inside the dam I spot another hammer. I'm really heavy and slow at this point, but I want another hammer to help me with fishing later on. With the day nearly over, I scrap a few shelves for some crucial scrap and sleep in the trailers outside the dam. I grab everything I had on the floor for the night and make one final push to camp office. This is not my final resting place, but for now, I can leave most of the items I'm carrying and go make a knife in the muskeg. I managed to find a bedroll beneath the stairs. Then, after eating and boiling some water, I'm ready to keep on walking to the forge. The muskeg has a lot of cattails, and I grab a bunch of them to keep me going during the forging. Poacher's Camp has a lantern for me, and after a long walk without finding any wolves or a bear, I start forging my new tools, a hatchet and a knife. On day 10, I spent most of my day doing 16 arrows, but since I'll lose some, a few more should keep me safe for now. I grab a few pieces of coal and make my way back, checking on the bunker and the bunkhouses nearby. A blizzard hits me while I'm foraging, but not being that far away, I find the train tracks and make my way back to camp office. It will take a couple more days for the maple to dry, but I want to find more materials before I set off to Broken Railroad to set a base there. I start day 11 by snatching a wolf's breakfast, then nearly failing to get my own food. Maybe I should let the wolves do the hunting for me at this point. After eating and taking care of the hides, the weather is great, and the cold is bearable. The rabbits are okay for a quick snack, but I need bigger game, so I don't have to hunt and cook every day. So after trying and failing several times to get a wolf to hunt a doe for me, it finally gets it, giving me a little bit more meat to keep me going. The hide is a good bonus as well. I cook the meat on site, and when it's done, I bring it back to camp office, with an old friend saying hi tonight, letting me know the cougar knife and wrap will soon be on the table. On day 12, I start by climbing the nearby hill and failing to grab birds. Then I kept looking for more until a wolf offered me some food. I harvested until nighttime, then went to the trailers near the dam to sleep there and try to grab the birds nearby in the morning. I failed to hit the bird again. Guess filling up my bedroll with feathers will have to wait. I return to the camp office to make more water while the weather is good, and at the end of the day, I make it up to the guard tower to make another try at ptarmigans. Yeah, my aiming skills could use some work. I take the time to make some progress on the map using the vista up there to make the trip worthwhile, repairing my clothes and going to sleep. On day 14, I make it back to my outpost. The guts are days away to be ready for the bow, so I start making arrows with what I have, making shafts for the rest of the day. I wake up too early on day 15, so I sharpen my tools until sunrise, spending the rest of the day making arrows. By the end of the day, I have 10 arrows and can make another 8, or get some arrows repaired. Right now, I only need a bow. On day 16, I finally get my hands on the bow. And just in time, as cabin fever risk hits me. I craft the travois and I get ready to hunt. Starting with the ptarmigans that have been hard to catch so far. Though I took too long shooting the one in the lookout tower, so a wolf came up to say hi and ruined my day. He spooked the bird and took more than 50% of my HP. I returned defeated to eat and get into the nearby cave up the hill, where I stripped the bird down before going to sleep. With the cabin fever gone, I finished the bunny hat, and it's time to move to where I initially wanted to make my base, Broken Railroad. I pick up all my stuff, load up the travois, and start making my journey. The reason why I want to be in Broken Railroad is because I always wanted to make a base there, and I always end up basing in Mystery Lake because it's so convenient. Not this time. Let's do this. This is where the travois shines, by carrying a lot of loot from one place to another, as long as the path is clear. By the end of the day, I'm in Broken Railroad, and around the maintenance shed there is always wolves. The trip here cost me a lot of HP, so I must be careful, or I might die from a struggle now. I use a rock to scare a wolf, and after being in safety, I shoot it. The arrows die, but I'll live to see tomorrow as a coward. By chance, I grabbed all my items and slowly walked inside, where I dropped them on the floor so I can loot the place in the morning. I want to stay in the hunting lodge, not here. I get the looting out of the way in the morning, being lucky enough to find yet another hammer. Make bunny gloves and make my way outside to check for wolves. The coast is clear, so load everything back up and go to the lodge. And this is where the travois fails. To save myself a few seconds of slow walking, I grab half of the items and go in. Then, as I walk out, the travois is gone. Remember to never leave your travois outside when you go through a loading area, or a bug might happen where everything will go to a lost and found box. There is also mixed info about where said box should show up in Broken Railroad. It should spawn here, but it didn't. Anyway, I loot the place, boil water, and organize my inventory before going to sleep. I start day 19 by hunting the local birds, finally getting enough feathers for my bedroll. But first, I must find my missing loot. So after cooking some pies and broth, I need to look in the maintenance shed and then the entrance to the region. On the way to the maintenance shed, I found a fire striker in pretty good condition in a lookout. But no signs of my missing loot in the shed. I take my frustration by calling the wolf population. Check the entrance, but no signs of it neither. Then go to the other side of the map, but nope, nada. I go back to the lodge, considering it lost at this point. Grab a bed to leave it closer to the stove, and sleep. When I wake up, I upgrade my bedroll and refuse to believe my stuff is gone. And after leaving this screen on stream for 30 minutes, the footage is lost to time, and I spent my days trying to find the lost loot but failed to do so. On day 22, I'm collecting sticks when I am graced by the presence of a moose. The weather was nice as well, so I take my time shooting it from afar, only for it to fall on the first shot. Blessed. I break down a limb nearby for wood so I can cook it, and lose my chance for a free mag lens fire. No matter, a moose is worth a little match. I get a couple of stakes going and... Am I a joke to you, game? The wind blows my fire, and the sky clears out. Okay, I move the fire sheltered by a tree, warm up, and have a couple of teas so I can harvest it while warm. I nearly get the whole thing, but an aurora starts, which killed the confidence in harvesting it without a fire nearby. One more fire later, while grabbing more wood, the wind picks up again. I'm cursed. I leave it for the next day as the game is trying its hardest to not let me complete it. At least I have the hide to start the curing process. The next day, I'm making my way back to the moose when I see a bear roaming nearby. I take the shot, knowing I can wait until it bleeds out. The weather is not great to cook the moose outside, but I can start carrying the meat back, now that I took care of all the wolves in the region. I tidy up the place while I wait for the weather to become better, and I've been putting this on the long finger for a while. Besides, a little bit more reclaimed wood is not going to waste. Once the wind stops howling, I return to the moose, and I see the bear still standing, but it didn't take long for it to fall. I immediately grab its hide, but didn't bother with anything else as I can't eat bear meat yet. The idea was to come back later for it, after having all the moose meat in the base. I finish up the moose and realize how far I am to level 5 cooking still. And as I need still another bear, the decision was made to hunt another one down as soon as possible. And if I have the time, I'll get the previous bear done as well. On day 24, I thought it would be a good idea to get rid of all the extra wood around the place while waiting for the weather to be good to light a fire. Right at the end of the day, I do get a chance for it, but it failed.
Come on, little fire. Come on.
At least the place is looking a little bit nicer. On day 25, the weather was nice, so I tried once again to find my missing loot, since I read somewhere that the loot would be further away from the entrance than expected. On the way there, I hear a wolf hunting a deer. Not on my watch, he isn't. I return to my search, and as you can see for yourself, it's really hard to see it when you don't know where it is. I hope this helps someone out there who lost their stuff in Broken Railroad as well. And for whoever posted that, thanks. I go back to get the dough and make my way back to base, spending the rest of the afternoon repairing my clothes. The next day the weather is nice, and I still need another bear hide, so it's time to go to the muskeg in search of one. The bear was nice enough to be waiting for us as soon as we came in. After a little bit of parkour, we take the shot and play the waiting game for it to bleed out. We harvest it all through the night, but as I run out of wood, I pack my stuff and leave. I keep cooking the moose and bear meat the next day to get me close to that level 5 cooking skill and enable me to eat predator meat without getting parasites, all the while crafting myself new boots. I finished the deer boots, which will keep Astrid's tootsies a lot warmer, repair my tools, finish reading a book, and sharpen my tools. On day 30, I noticed a wolf spawn back, so I hunted, gaining a free bunny in the process. I craft a couple of arrows to replace the broken ones, and the blizzard starts. So for the rest of the afternoon, I stay inside, doing general maintenance until I'm able to grab the hide from the wolf and call it a day after grabbing feathers from a ptarmigan. On day 31, I shoot what might be the last doe alive in the region. I wait until it collapses while satisfying my stick-picking OCD and do a few teas. Given the amount of meat we have, we are pretty comfortable at this point in Broken Railroad. With all the killing that has happened, I'll make another bow. I put my bow to the test with a couple of ptarmigans I found and spend my morning in the shed harvesting them. I also reach level 3 fire starting, which is great as I'll no longer need tinder to start a fire. I finished the day by hunting the last buck in the region, effectively doing what humans do best, and be a mass extinction event. On day 33, I make my first coat. A wolfskin coat. It's heavier than what I have, but warmer as well. By the end of the day, I sharpened my knife in the nearby cave to try and avoid the cabin fever risk that I'm sure to get in the upcoming crafting bonanza. The crafting of the coat took me 2 more days to craft, doing nothing more than crafting it. But now there is a chance that wolves might run away from me on sight, which is nice. Next, the moose satchel. That will max out my carry capacity and will never leave my accessory slots ever again. With the satchel in place, I start gathering cloth for some repairs as I want to go on a hunting adventure. So far, I've been using the knife to craft, but the cougar knife would allow me to craft, disengage from struggles, and harvest faster. It's the best knife by far, and the head wrap is a nice bonus on top. With all the recent clothing upgrades and repairs, I can now walk in the afternoon warm enough to not take any damage. The trip to camp office is easy enough, and we rest before hunting the most dangerous animal in the island. On day 38, I'm ready for the battle of the ages with the cougar. First, I start a fire to avoid it getting too close. Safety first. I can hear it, but can't see it. But it definitely knows I'm here, scaring the shit out of me. Finally, it shows itself. I bait it out. That was close, but it worked out. And it's close enough to the fire that I don't need to make another one. I claim my prize, the hide and its claw, then get back to the office to eat and rest. I go back to Broken Railroad in the morning, giddy to get my new shiny knife, making more arrowheads for the rest of the time the fire was on. Cabin fever is almost maxed out. And did I mention I have Timbies outside nowadays? Maybe getting rid of all the wildlife wasn't a great idea after all. After positioning myself on the tree, I shoot them until they lose the will to fight. Then I slept inside the cave to get rid of the cabin fever. I start my day by recovering the arrows that the Timbies ran away with, and I have enough deer hides now to make pants. I finish my pants the next morning and start working on the bear coat. On day 44, I finish the bear coat, and this is going to make a huge difference on my warmth during the day. I organize my inventory for a bit, and looking at my clothes, I realize I never found a second pair of wool socks. Milton is probably a good place to search for them. There is also another cougar, bear, and all sorts of loot I can get from there, but I'd rather make an outpost there, so it makes my life easier later on. I make new arrows for the upcoming trip and sharpen my knife after all the work that has done for the past week. I'm ready to go to Milton, but as I get there, the foggy weather gets me turned around and lost. Only after the fog clears out deep into the night is when I find the cave I wanted to sleep in, before using the robes to get to Milton. I start my day cooking the bunnies I found the night before, and start my climb to Milton. But mistakes were made. I didn't sleep before the second robe, leading me into this position.
This is serious. Quick.
I make it into the ledge, but I don't have the energy to go up or down the rope at this point. Thankfully, the weather is good enough to make a fire and rest for a bit. I rest 1 hour at a time in case the weather turns, and it finally does turn. Without any other options, it's do or die. Well, this doesn't look good. I find myself in the exact same situation. But RNGBus was on my side this time, and I make it. I find the Meadows farm in the blizzard, grab the key, and get to safety. That climb nearly ended my run, and I'm happy to have made it here in one piece.
I'll take it.
I loot the place and go to sleep. To start an outpost, you need two things, food and water. So I do just that, while the cougar taunts me in the distance. At the end of the day, I start a fire so I can go for the cougar. And am I glad I did that, as that angry kitty would have pounced on me immediately. I grab my second cougar hide, and after defeathering the ptarmigans, I go to sleep. Today is hunting day. I shoot a wolf away, then a buck. This is going to be a nice amount of meat to keep me going for a while. But then the wolf delivers to me a doe, and I'm not going to say no to that. I'll just have to cook this when the weather allows me to start a fire with the maglins. Didn't have to wait for long, as the aurora ensures the weather is clear. And even though it's nighttime, visually the sun has come up enough for me to start the fire. I cook everything in the morning, and it's time to look for my new socks in Milton. I find some goodies in the houses, Lily's pancakes in Grandmother's house, but by the end of the day, I was getting tired and no socks had been found. I put everything on display and slip away. On day 50, my search continues, finding the socks and completing the set. I steal a few rabbits from wolves and cook them in the gas station. I loot the place, cause damage to the local fauna, and keep adding more food to my table. By the end of the day, I climb to the radio tower to check what items I need to repair the transmitter before I leave, taking the opportunity to survey the area. I decide to sleep in a cave nearby after exploring the area as the cold gets to me. By this point, I'm close to level 5 cooking, so a bear hunt is on the menu. Instead, I find a moose. I try to snipe it from afar, but I miss my first shot, and my second, and third shot as well. My aiming sucks. Eventually, he spots me and I finally hit it, for a total of 10 arrows shot and 3 hits. Not too bad. I spend the rest of my day cooking it, until at late hours of the night I finish harvesting it. Sleeping in the bank as my headcanon is that Grandmother's house is hunted by herself. I bring the meat back to base and I spend my afternoon making arrows while trying not to freeze during a blizzard. Cooking as much as I can of the meat at the end of the day. On day 53, I spend my day looking for batteries, finding one near the church, and I was happy with it, since on my last playthrough, there wasn't a single battery in Milton to be found. I leave it on the road and keep going, as today my objective is to grab another bear hide and cook until I reach level 5 cooking. I nailed the headshot, and after waiting a bit for it to bleed out, the time has come for me to be able to eat any meat I want without consequences. Followed, of course, by harvesting level 5. Good, but not as essential as cooking. At this point, I decide I want to go through the cave back to the farm and check the cars I didn't check before, as I was giddy about level 5 cooking. Finding a hockey jersey in a car. It's not great, but will make a great decoration later. I go into the cave, sleeping inside for the night. I wake up to having scurvy risk. Apparently, I haven't been eating enough things with vitamin C on them. I find a bunker I didn't know existed here, but it's good to know, as that info might be useful later in the run. I start out my inventory and make another bow for the rest of the day. On day 55, I wake up to an aurora. Even though I tried in the last 55 days to contact the trader, only today I managed to speak with him. Stupidly, I didn't grab the chance to trade matches, something I'll try to get later. As for now, what I want is clothing blueprints, so I take on the recipe and salt instead. I go back to the farm and start work on my inventory. Scurvy has put a fire under my butt, and I'll have to move on to Mystery Lake to fish and restore my vitamin C. Before I move on, I repair the transmitter, grab some food, and say goodbye to Milton for now. Moving towards the broken railroad as I want to make the cougar wrap that should be dry now. It takes me another day, but I want the cougar wrap. It's the warmest thing you can put on your head by far. Goodbye, bunny hat. You serve me well. Then another day to get to the camp office after passing by the muskeg to pick up the hammer I left there to help me fish. I'm not quite ready to fish, so meat will have to carry me for a few more days. I need wood to build a fire that will last a day or two, plus scrap to make the tip-ups I need to fish. I could fish on my own to treat the scurvy risk, but since the trader needs oil as well, I must cook a lot of fish to get the oil needed. The cabins in the lake should have enough wood for me to make a fire for a while. I finished the night with 3 cedar and fir firewood and 20 reclaimed wood. Not a bad start. There is still more to break down, and after another day, I have 3 more fir and 25 more reclaimed wood. But scurvy risk is now at 41%, and I don't want to find out what I need to do to recover from it. To make sure I have some extra fuel for the fire, I go to the cave next to Trapper's to grab some coal. Then make whatever hooks and lines I can for now. But I must dry more goods later, and I still need more scrap. I build what I can and start fishing. It's not optimal, just 2 tip-ups and myself. But a few fish should enable me to delay the scurvy for now. I cook and eat whatever fish I find, and soon enough, scurvy risk is gone. But I carry on through the night again to have more fish available, while I loot more scrap for tip-ups, as this is too slow a process. At the end of day 62, I'm pleased with the fish I have, and move on to grab scrap to make tons of oil. I need scrap, but having an extra bear hide would be useful. I cook and harvested well into the night, despite the blizzard, to not waste anything. That is, until the wind turned into an angle I could not use the bear as shelter anymore. By then, the only thing left was the hide. I tank the cold damage for a bit and sleep in a cabin nearby for the night. I carry the bear meat back to the cabin and I repair my clothes in the morning. After grabbing all the fish, I make way to the dam for all the scrap and reclaimed wood I can carry. At the end of the day, I have 30 reclaimed wood and 17 scrap metal. Just about what I need for the oil grind. I woke up and I chose violence by killing 3 birds next to the dam and the bunny next to the lookout. After dropping the wood at the hut, I cooked the game I had and went to sleep. I repair my tools and the bedroll with the feathers I acquired yesterday. Then I realize I need more scrap, as the 12 scrap I have will be used for the hooks themselves, leaving me nothing for the tip-ups. After crafting the fishing tackles, back we go to the dam. I spent the whole day collecting 46 scrap metal, then slept in the dam while the aurora was going on. On day 69, all I do is tip-ups and fishing tackles. I'm finally ready for the fishing session, so I start the fire, make 6 holes, and have the tip-ups do all the work, while I cook and sleep in between to not lose HP while doing this. By the end of day 72, I have plenty of fish, water, and the necessary oil for the trader. So I make it back to the cabin to sleep comfortably for a change. With the scurvy and the oil out of the way, it's time to go and trade. After making some arrows, repair my clothes, and prepare my inventory for the trip, I sleep to ensure I'm fully rested and healthy for the trip. I haven't done the trader quest ever neither, so I thought this would be a good thing to do easily and early. I was wrong. By the end of the day, I'm at the garage and hunting a deer to start collecting food. I start out my inventory after that to the light of an aurora while boiling water. It's a beautiful day outside, so I spend it chopping wood for anything I might need it for. I spend my morning looting the surrounding area, and in the afternoon I loot Misanthrope's homestead. But as I need food right now, I try to shoot a wolf for meat, having to chase it into the main island. After cooking, I return to the garage, preparing teas before I go to sleep. On day 77, I find another hammer in one of the fishing huts, which will be very useful in the future. After exploring Jackrabbit's Island, I call the wolf population on my way back to base, where I find a moose. After failing a couple of shots, I get a lucky shot to the face and down it. That's meat sorted for a while, but as I go back to the garage to grab a torch, I spot the bear passing the road nearby. Well, as long as I'm here. Nice. I spend the afternoon dealing with the moose and half of the night harvesting the bear. Having food sorted, I repair my clothes as the weather outside is rough. Then I thought it would be nice to have extra coal around. So the rest of my day is passed by going to the cave to Desolation Point and picking up the coal, arriving back late at night with 30 extra coal. With the weather being nice, I decide to explore the far side of Coastal Highway. And on the way back, did a bit of beachcombing, picking up everything I could. As a precaution, I killed all the wolves around to ensure safe passage to the trader box later. After a bit of inventorying, the weather was good enough to go out and skin the wolves for their pelts. I end up with 6 more pelts and ready for any wolf clothing coming up. I spent day 80 cooking all the meat I could until a blizzard hit. Then moving in and sharpened my tools. Throughout my back and forth on the road, I didn't find a single battery in Coastal Highway. So it's time to check Desolation Point. It should have plenty inside of Wild Processing. I find my first insulated flask here, which made me very happy. I take a shot at the bear and harvest it for the day. I make it to Wild Processing and find what I was looking for, and then some. I grab one of the batteries and try to brave it through the blizzard outside, but I couldn't find the exit, so I slept in the lighthouse. In the morning the weather was fine, so I make it back to Coastal Highway, slowly but surely. I pack up the items for the trader and start moving. Very slowly. After dropping my share of items, I go back home and wait for the Aurora. With the Aurora in full blast, I pick up my stuff, ask for flour, oats, and the wolf pants blueprint and more salt. Realize I can't do partial orders and call it for the night. The thing is, we need more oil now. I brought with me the tip-ups from Mystery Lake, but I'll need more wood for the fire, spending all day grabbing a lot of wood. With the wood in the travois, I go to the hut next to the ocean and start fishing. After 2 days in the bit of fishing, I have plenty of oil, wishing I don't have another fishing session soon. But I won't have scurvy problems while I'm here at least. I drop the oil and realize I still need the batteries. Realizing the blueprints will need more batteries, I decided to pick up as many batteries as possible from Desolation Point and leave them here. This was the first close call in 88 days. Hubris finally settling in. I got lucky this time. I get back to the building and start loading up. I get 5 of them into the travois and holy shit, they're heavy. Even with the travois, I'm still walking slow. I never actually had it full to realize the weight mechanics of it. But this is still better than doing 5 trips. Speaking of 5 trips, since I don't want to do 5 trips back and forth in the mines, I empty my inventory to carry 2 at a time. It saved me 2 trips, so I'm happy with that. Cold, tired, and hungry, I make it back to Coastal Highway. The plan was to drop the batteries immediately, grab a fish, and sleep. But Bear made me stop in my tracks and try to shoot it from afar. I missed and he ran away. Good enough, I thought. But I should have paid more attention to the whimpering of the dogs nearby. Turns out it was Timby's. I quickly grab a flare and drop the batteries on the floor. I don't want another search for the missing box here. Then I slowly backed off, turning into a run near the end of the flare. One of them nibbled my clothing, but I was safe inside the cabin. After recovering from yesterday, I decided to take a day resupplying myself with arrows, moving the bench next to the fire in case I need light later on. The plan was to cook in the morning while I waited for the wind to calm down, so I can take a torch while I hunt. I made the mistake of leaving the predators on that side of the island live, and that could have costed me the whole run. I'm gonna get them before they get me. But I also need to cook and water, so I ended up cooking and boiling water all day long. I finished up at sunset, and this is when I made a move to recover my batteries, killing all predators that would dare come across me. I came across the bear first, so he had to go first. That wasn't too bad, and I got archery level 5 finally. I load the batteries without issue, but then as I grab the travois, the wolves spot me. I pull them next to the fire and one by one I shoot them until they were either dead or running away from me. The batteries reached their destination and the trade was ready to go. After picking up my price to both my despair and happiness, I got the pemmican bar recipe, which required more oil. At least the battery is not a problem anymore. I slept in all morning, then took care of the bear, at least until a blizzard came in, forcing me to seek shelter nearby. It was late anyway, so I do some inventorying and sleep. The bear is sorted. All I need to do is pick up all the pieces and make it back to the garage, making progress on my wolf pants for the rest of the day. It took me a whole extra day, but I can wear my new pants. A bit uglier, but I'm warmer. During the day, I hunt a bunch of bunnies since I'll need more pelts to trade in the future, while I look for the Polaroid of the area. But as I clear one of the possible spawns for it, a blizzard hits, cutting my endeavor short. My routine is starting to settle, where I cook in the morning, then explore in the afternoon. This time going to the other side of the map looking for a Polaroid. Instead, a bear finds me. I took its hide and moved on, leaving the meat behind, in case I need it around here in the future, finding the Polaroid soon after. On day 96, I decided it's a great idea to go to the lookout area to map out the area. As a blizzard is starting, pass some time there and get most of the map done. And that's when my second struggle happens. Right as I put out my torch, as I thought it was pointless. Overconfidence will be the death of me. I make it to the lookout and map out the area after the blizzard is gone. Then start working on my second bear coat. After 3 days of crafting, I'm warm as I can be. I want to repair my wrap though, but the cougar hide is in Broken Railroad, and I left my woodworking tools in there as well. I want to make a curing box and make this place a proper base. So I spend day 99 walking back to my original base. Just one little problem. It's nighttime now, and this area is crawling with wolves. Even more ahead. After taking care of this area, I think I'm better off sleeping in the shed than making it to the lodge in the morning. And that brings us to day 100. Before I knew it, my initial objective of surviving was done, but I didn't even touch base building, completed the trader quest. In fact, I didn't even start it. Instead of doing anything fancy like pancakes to celebrate, I heat some gamey bear meat, grabbed the tools, made more arrows, and left, without picking up the hide that brought me here in the first place. I only think of it when I'm close to the camp office. Anyway, I'll spend the night here and see what to do next tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!